We had a great challenge this week submitted by Pat Lucas, so thanks so much for that, Pat. We are looking at timesheet data, so let's take a look at the data that we're looking at. So we've got lots of information about 3 different employees, what projects they've been working on, and how many hours for each day they're assigning to that project. So yeah, this isn't the nicest structure at the moment. We're definitely going to want to rearrange this so that we can actually do some analysis from this timesheet data. So the first thing we want to do is get rid of these totals in this project field here. So we can see we've got overall total for Dan, George, and Sam. And the way that I chose to exclude that was to go down into the 3 dots on project, filter, and do a wildcard match. So that when I type in the word total and go to exclude, then it will get rid of those 3 rows. So I'm just going to get rid of that change there because I do that in the next step, but I just want to show you how that's how I would do it to keep it dynamic. You could, of course, just click on the relevant totals and say exclude like this, but that's less dynamic and it wouldn't pick up any new totals coming through in the future. So then we've got all of these dates going forwards, and what we'd rather that were instead of lots of fields, we'd rather these were structured in rows. So we're going to pivot our data. We're going to do a columns to rows pivot. And to pick up all those dates dynamically, we use a wildcard pivot looking for a slash. And that's how we get those all to go down, and we name those date and hours. Now, to clean up that date and make it an actual date, this isn't particularly necessary for the challenge, but I can't see a date field and not turn it into a date data type. So when we try and automatically change it to a date, it tries to do an American format because we only have up to the 12th of February, so it will change that to be the 2nd of December instead. And so just to tell Prep and help it out, you can use the date pass formula. That's actually really useful here, just to say that the structure is day, day, month, month, year, year, year. I think I missed out a year there, but you get the idea. And then the date before there just stops it being changed into a date time formula, data type, sorry. So really handy way to just quickly make sure that you're getting your dates passed in the correct fashion, because sometimes Tableau Prep doesn't have enough information in order to make that decision for itself. So that's how I choose to get around that. Not a necessary bit of the challenge, so don't worry if you didn't do that. And then we're coming to look at this field here where we've got information about the client, the employee's name, age, and area of work. So we're going to split those up into different fields, literally just using the automatic split function there. So if I go back to this previous step and show you what that looks like, going down to the split values there, automatic split, and it will know to split on both the comma and on the colon. And so we do that, we do some renaming of our fields, we change the data type of age to a numeric field, and that was all nice and simple for us too. Then we're looking at our hours field here, and we're seeing that we've got some nulls, we've got some annual leave. Neither of these are going to contribute to the number of hours worked, so we can exclude both these rows just by clicking on them and hitting exclude. And then that's what we do in this step here. And also change that to be a numeric field as well, because it was a string field because of the annual leave values in there. So good to get rid of those, change the data type. Now we're looking at those 2 questions that come towards the end of the requirements. So we need to look at the number of hours worked per person in total and how many days they did those hours across. So we're grouping on our name, we're summing up our hours, and we're counting the distinct dates that we have available. Then we can just do a nice calculated field, nice and simple, doing our hours over our date. I could have renamed the fields to make that a bit clearer what that calculation is doing, but it's just doing, say for example here, the total 77 hours divided across 10 days. That's an average of 7.7 hours per day. And then I have that field available, and I can just remove the unnecessary ones. Now we're coming to work out our percentage of total. So for that, we're going to need our names, our areas of work, and a total of the hours by summing those up. We exclude the chats from there, and to work out the percentage of total, I decided to use a fixed LOD calculation. So let's just show you what that was looking like. So on our hours field, I went to the three dots and I went to create a calculated field fixed LOD. And then that brings up this window. I made sure I was grouping by the name and summing up those hours. And therefore we get our total hours per person. And then it's just a case of doing that calculation where we do our hours over our total hours. And then the rest of this calculation is all quite a lot of formatting. So remember, always read from the inside out with calculations that look complicated. So yeah, we can easily identify where we're doing our percent of total. We're doing 100 times the hours over the total hours. We're rounding that to 0 decimal places, and then we're turning that into a string so that we can add on our percentage sign afterwards as per the output. You could definitely do this in multiple steps. I'm just lazy, I guess, and did it all in one calculation, but hopefully that's clear enough to you. So we've got our percentage total field, we get rid of our special projects and we keep only the client work, and then we only keep these three fields, join them together with our average hours, and then we have our output. So the name, the area of work, the percentage of total, and the average hours. Thanks again, Pat, for a great challenge, and I hope that was clear how to solve it.